or Galatians 6 and 10. Paul stated to the Galatians, as we have opportunity, this is the first thing, let us do good to all. If the occasion presents itself, do good to that person that cursed you out. If you happen to go to your family reunion and run into your Uncle Harold that talked about you like you were a low down, dirty so-and-so, make sure you tell your uncle hello and ask him if there's anything you can do for him. You didn't like what the pastor preached. You felt like he had been in your house eavesdropping. You got up and left service. You were so upset. Now when you go back to church this Sunday, tell the pastor you need to see him and apologize to him for getting up and abruptly leaving the service with an attitude. Your wife made you mad. She called you a childish boy and told you she could do bad by herself. Your children overheard it and laughed at you. But when she get home from work today, tell her how much you love her. And make sure you stop by the florist and get her a dozen of roses. Say to your neighbor, do good to all. Especially those of the household of faith. It's amazing that he had to tell a church that they needed to treat each other right. The implication is that there were some problems in the church. There were folk in the church that didn't communicate in the manner that they needed to. Didn't take to heart what Jesus said in the book of John when he relayed to his disciples that everybody gonna know that you are my disciples because you're gonna have love one for another. Didn't take it to heart. So here Paul tells them that you need to especially do good to those of the household of faith. Been having problems with your leader. Having problems with a member of your auxiliary. So the Lord is saying you need to treat your leader right as well as the member or members of your auxiliary. Treat them right because as a Christian, that's your duty. Look at the text before you frown at me. Do good to all, especially those of the household of faith. How many have ever got mad at somebody at your church? I ain't even gonna ask you who. I know I've probably made everybody in here upset at one time or another. Thank you, Brother Powell. You're going to have problems in the church. And some folks don't expect to have problems at the church. You expect to be treated well by everybody. But it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You have some folks that are Christian, but they still need deliverance in some areas. And it could be the tongue. They just say things without thinking. Then you have some folks that are born again that are just rude, disrespectful. Some just are full of pride, selfish. But as Christians, we have a duty to treat everybody right, especially one another. We have to do so based upon not only this particular verse of Galatians 6 and 10, but based upon a number of scripture. See, when God tells us to do good and we don't do it, we are operating in sin. I'm going to prove that biblically. Go with me to the book of James, the 4th chapter. Y'all going to stay with me? Notice James, the 4th chapter and verse number 17. Ready? Therefore, to him who knows to do good. To him who knows to do what? And does not do it. I'm trying to let it sink in. To him or her, it is sin. I just told you that as Christians, we have to do good to everybody, especially a household of faith. Therefore, this verse applies to you. You know to do good. If you don't do the right thing from this day forward, you're going to be operating in sin. Romans, the 6th chapter. Verse 23. For the wages of sin is death. For the wages of sin is death. Whether spiritual, literal, or eternal. If you don't do good to your brothers and sisters, you could experience spiritual death. God can start to withdraw himself from you. Take his hand off you. Something may attack your body and take you completely out. The wages of sin is death. If I know to do good, but I'm not doing it, I'm sinning. Or if I break it down even further, I'm killing myself. Say to your neighbor, I don't want to kill myself. And I sure don't want to kill myself because I'm not treating you right because of something trivial. It's amazing. Folks don't speak to another person because of something this small. Ain't even major, this small. Why you and her don't speak? She rolled her eyes at me.